again another episode of The It Factor. As always, I'm your host, Jeremy Robinson, and today we have someone special. Go ahead and introduce yourself.
Hello, everyone. My name is Niara Patterson. It's nice to meet you all.
Yes, indeed. Yes, indeed. So first off, how are you doing? How are you feeling now that you're about to transition into something new?
I feel very grateful. I would say I'm feeling fantastic, but I think grateful is a more specific word. I just being in this present moment right now and just like reflecting on the past 4 years, even the past like years way back in like middle school and high school. It's just like all the stuff that I did is paying off right now. And it's really crazy. And I'm very, very grateful.
That's amazing. That's amazing. So first off, congratulations on graduating from North Carolina A&T. Fellow
Aggie pride.
So with that, how was your time at A&T, man? How was that experience?
It was nothing like I expected it to go, but in the best way. I don't mean any like the way I expected college to go was that I was going to go to college on a full ride. I didn't have to worry about any loans or anything. I was just going to get like straight A's. I was going to get every single internship that I applied for. And that was going to be it. Like that was I had expected that my college experience was just going to be easy, if that makes sense. And it wasn't. I didn't get the full ride scholarship when I was a freshman. I didn't get the internship that I was promised as a freshman. I didn't get straight A's in school, like none of that. But what being at A&T taught me was, for one, how to advocate for myself. So not just being stuck in a area that like I need help and nobody's helping me. I can't just sit there and just be like, oh, well, nobody's helping me. I guess I'm going to fail. I had to get extremely creative and still get to my goal despite like plan A, B, and C not working. Also, the community at A&T was nothing that like nobody talked about the community at A&T. Like Aggie Pride is worldwide, but like
everywhere.
Specifically in the computer science department, it was just like the upperclassmen, they were so excited to teach the underclassmen, this is what it's like being Black in tech. This is what it's like going to PWIs and competing and then winning their competitions. Like, this is what it's like. And I just remember like as a freshman, just being completely starstruck and was just like, oh my goodness, this is so cool. Like, I want to be like this whenever I get of age and when I get of experience. I want to be able to go back. Like as an upperclassman, I want to be able to go back and be like, hey, this is kind of scary, but it really doesn't have to be, there's so many things that you could do in this realm. But besides all of that, I'm just really glad that I went to A&T, honestly. I'm extremely glad that I went to A&T. Like every HBCU has their ups and downs, but I think I absolutely like blossomed while I was at A&T.
Pretty sure you did. That's a lot. Because you started off saying, Post got the scholarship. So after a while, you was like, and if I don't, I'm gonna be fine. We gonna get through this. I'm gonna find a way of doing. That's my alma mater. That's my alma mater motto right there. We're gonna find a way to make one at Clark Atlanta University. So, hey, I pass that on to you. I definitely say that going into the field you are in now. So in that, I would say, with you going to Microsoft, what is the job? What is the occupation that you would be taking up there?
At Microsoft, I will be joining their team as a technical program manager. A program manager, I'm not going to be able to explain it the best way that an experienced one would be able to, but it's basically, there's these things called programs within a organization. And a program is not necessarily just a product. It's just like the marketing behind the product. It's the product itself. And it's like I want to say maintenance about how the customer uses a product or how the developer uses the product. So you own that entire process, if that makes sense.
I got you.
And the program can have multiple projects in it. It's not just one project, if that makes sense. It's like, it's a program. It's like a very umbrella term, the way that how it was described to me, and all the things that make up the program. is what you're in charge of. So
I like that. See, you ain't even started yet. You already know that. See, that's the good. That's how we do. That's how HBCU do you. You already prepared.
exactly.
So in that, man, what is your it factor? Why do you do what you do?
So I thought about it yesterday. And I always knew that I wanted to be in tech, like I was always like really, I'm not gonna say nerdy because it's not that, but like I just really like tinkering with gadgets. Like I had the little Tamagotchi like keychain when I was younger.
Right.
I remember like my first like real birthday present that I got was like the Nintendo DS Lite. I was so excited. But I think what sealed the deal for me was that whenever I was in high school, I was voluntold that I would be doing programming, going through the programming pathway by my parents. And I couldn't really find how I could relate to it, because even though I'm really deep into tech, I am a creative. I like to create things. I like to draw. I like to play music. I like to create things. And I felt like at that time that being in tech or coding and stuff, that was not creative at all. And you would just sit there on a computer, filling out bugs, coding bugs, fixing bugs, and not really doing much else. But I remember on the fateful day, 10th grade, some folks over in Georgia Tech, their master's students, they came and they showed their project called PySketch. EarSketch. EarSketch is basically a software that they developed where they use Python to program music. So you could program the metronome, you could program the bass, the sound effects, the melody, everything through Python. And I was just like, my mind was blown that day. I was just like, are you serious? Like you could do that? So like once I realized that you're able to like use something as abstract as art and combine it with tech to make a whole different product, like I was like, okay, I have to do something here. I feel like I honestly feel like I could positively contribute to the world using that particular medium, if that makes sense.
I got what you're saying. I mean, that's the reason why I went towards it. I mean, even me doing this podcast, stuff happening over time, even stuff I've been working in tech for 4 years now, like full time. And like in doing that, you always don't want to get complacent and dang, I'm stuck on the computer and all I'm doing is coding. But over time, once I seen all the stuff in school, different internships, and even working now, even friends coming to me for advice about certain stuff they want to get into, it always come back to like, dang, it's very creative. I ain't know tech was like this, or I ain't know it was like. I'm like, yeah, you should try it. Yeah, And that's what your parents was thinking when they was like, you voluntold. Here you go. Go ahead.
I don't think so. Like, okay, so backstory, I was convinced that I was going to be a music producer. I was like, my dad was really into, like, he likes to say that he was there at the birth of hip hop. He was born in New York. He was way deep in that scene. So like being brought up in listening to old school hip hop and listening to, my mom is like basically stuck in the 80s. So listening to like all of the biggest 80s artists. I was so convinced I was going to be a music producer. And I remember coming to my parents like, because like there's these two schools I basically had a choice to go to. It was a performing arts high school or a magnet high school. And I was like, yeah, so when are we going to go to that performing arts high school? And they were like, we're not. So let's go ahead and dead that. But I think people, the way that I describe the coding process to people, because coding is not as like logical that people make it seem, it's very similar to a creative process. I like the analogy that I like to use is baking cookies. Cooking is creative. But when you're making chocolate chip cookies, there's a set of steps that you need to do. You have a certain amount of ingredients. And if you do things a certain way, this is your certain outcome. but you also have the freedom to switch up the ingredients. You can change, like if you're cooking it on foil or parchment paper, you can change the sugar, the white sugar to brown sugar ratio. You could change, like if you're using chocolate chunks or chocolate chips, same thing in coding. Like you can do the normal way, I guess, like the way that is documented to know it works, but you have the freedom to experiment. You don't have to do the exact same thing, you know?
I like that. Good explanation right there. I like how you put it to baking cookies. That's what y'all new age, young people do. You know, I ain't that older, but still, you know. So, and I would say, you know, what is one of your ultimate life goals? It could be outside of work, be in work, could be more than one.
I have 3. So the first one is to leave a legacy.
Yes.
I am very proud of where I come from. That's just how I was brought up, just to know like what my grandfather was like, what my grandfather's father was like, what our family brought to the world, and like how they left the world. So I'm very proud of my family, and I don't want it to be like nobody heard of who Niara Patterson was, you know, or who Niara Patterson's family was. I want to be able, whenever it's my time to go, I want to be able to leave that legacy and inspire somebody else to also, you know, leave a legacy as well. The second one is to fulfill my destiny. I know that's kind of deep, but, you know, I don't think I'm just here just to be here. You know, I feel like I was here to fulfill a job, I guess. I don't know what that is because I'm only 22, but hopefully once I get to a point where I have enough wisdom and I've experienced enough of life, I'm able to know when I am and when I'm not operating like aligned with my destiny.
Gotcha. Keep doing.
I feel like that's important.
You're gonna get there. Keep doing what you're doing. You're gonna get there.
This third thing is to live a fulfilling and fruitful life. I don't want like my life to just be focused on like the material things or the goals that I achieve or like the titles that I accumulate, the awards, all of that stuff. It doesn't really mean much, you know, if you don't like, if you're not taking care of yourself, if you're not like going outside and, you know, just taking in the fresh air, if you're not going to the gym, if you're not eating wholesome foods, not talking to your family, doing things that actually fulfill you. So while I still strive to be an ambitious person, I also want to be able to like, whenever it is my time to go, I don't want to feel like, oh, all I did while I was here was work. I want to be able to enjoy life, you know?
I like that. And I'll be honest with you, that's where I'm at now. No, getting married, doing a show, working. I'm starting to get to the point to where every time, like every other month, we be like, we're going somewhere, we're gonna go do something, because that's what matters the most, you know. Right. You can save all the money in the world, but you have all that money saved, you ain't been nowhere, and you really wanted to go to these places, but you never went because you were scared if something's gonna happen. Can't live your life like that. But you'll go to work though. Exactly. I never can understand that. But you'll go to work, you'll burn yourself out, you know. So then I say, keep doing what you're doing. Keep being the person that you are. Keep inspiring people. I know you say you're only 22, but it don't mean anything. You keep going. Age don't mean anything. You keep going and just make it happen. You know, especially with what you're in now. So in that, I would say, you know, what is something that you would like to see change in the tech roles, or how it was with you being at your HBCU versus the PWI, or however that lines up for you now that you're making that transition, if you get what I'm saying? Like, what would you like to see change?
So I think what I came up with yesterday was the oversaturation of negativity and limitation. What I mean by that is that people have so much pride. People, meaning like a lot of people have so much pride of like, oh, I got a traditional tech degree at this traditional tech institute, and I was the top of my class, and I did all of these coding projects. And if you're not like me, you're just like a terrible person. And it doesn't need to be like that, you know, like just because like most of the life-changing tech that like just was born came from people that were thinking outside the box. Right. Why are you forcing people to be inside the box?
You got to be this specific way. You got to do the project this. You know, I deal with that at work.
That doesn't make sense.
And I don't even understand it. That's why I'm like entrepreneur outside of work, do other things. Because one thing I had to understand, and you will understand it well, but you're going to Microsoft, so you'll be fine. But going to work, you start to realize like, I'm building somebody else's dream and plan. They don't care. They want it this way. They don't. And you know how we say you can do this. Oh, you can bake the cookies this way. You can do this way. It's not like my job. It's like, we're gonna do it this way. This the way they did it. This the way we need to do it. Don't change it because it may not work. And it's like, all right, cool. But over time, you're like, yeah, my life though, I can't be like that. Like at work, I'm gonna do work. But outside of life, I gotta separate it. So you're right about that. I feel like a lot of people have to learn that no matter what school you went through, no matter what you worked on, no matter where you work at, you're not better than anyone. We in this together. That's what life is. We in this together, no matter what color you are, no matter what's going on. So like at the end of the day, I feel like I got both experience. I was able to go to a HBCU and go to a PWI. I'm about to graduate from another PWI. But at the end of the day, school is school. A degree is a degree. And I feel like people got to get out of that mindset of thinking that if I didn't go to Georgia Tech, they ain't going to hire me and it's not going to. And it's like, all right, now, come on now, because I got a job and I went to Clark.
Right.
So in that, I would say, so what is your dream job? Like, what is something that you say you want to do? Would you say you got to start it yet or you waiting on that? You're like, I'm going to wait on seeing what my dream job may be.
So low key on the down low, the down low, I want to be able to make enough money to retire early.
Yes.
For the sake of the question, I would definitely say that I would want to end up as like a C-level executive at a tech startup. I realized something about myself. I like being a leader. I like being
there you go.
And I like making decisions, and I like being able to work like with a team of people that are also like passionate about things. I want to be I want to be an active participant in things. I don't want to just be like outsourced, if that makes sense.
Yeah, I got what you're saying.
So like eventually, I know that like C-level executive positions are only reserved for people that have a bunch of experience. But hopefully, when I mean by a bunch of experience, I'm meaning like 10 years within the industry, which, just in my particular perspective, you could be 10 years in the industry and not really do anything. That doesn't really warrant that you are an expert, So like hopefully
on the mark.
Hopefully I end up like showing like just how capable I am with like bigger responsibility or projects, and then I get to a point where I'm the C-level executive. So
yeah, you will keep climbing that ladder, keep working. My biggest thing is though, you're on the right track, because at the end of the day, I had this conversation with coworkers and friends all the time that like a lot of people are in certain positions and they're not leaders or managers. They're managers, they're not leaders. And a lot of people get there because, I worked at this company 7 to 10 years, and they don't, when it comes to you asking them a question, they don't know anything.
Exactly.
And they be like, yeah, I coded back in the 90s. And you like, why are you my manager? How is you gonna help me? And it's that I feel like we have to change in tech, especially with certain companies, because it does throw you off. But just keep doing what you're doing. I'm so happy I got to interview you. It was successful, and I'm so proud of you for graduating. And I know you're gonna have a great career. You already at Microsoft, man. You one leg up. So in that, I would say before we close, do you have any questions for me?
The question that I have is that, like, what inspired you to like create this podcast? Because I am also in the process of trying to figure out how I want to creatively like enter the world. And one of those avenues was a podcast. But I'm extremely convinced that nobody, like, this is going to be very like counter, but I'm very convinced that people don't really care about what I have to say or my perspective. So I know, I'm very convinced about that. But I just wanted to know like why you decided to develop a podcast and like what helps you get out of that mind space, if that makes sense.
First off, I'll answer the second part of that question. what got me out of that that space is I'm 27 now. I spent a lot of time growing up and like, oh, I'm an athlete. I'm from a small town in Fort Valley, Georgia. And I came to Atlanta, Georgia, of course, for college. And I stopped playing sports, things of that nature. And in that, I grew up so many people telling you like, bro, you gotta do this. You're gonna go to the league. You're gonna do this. You know, and after a while, it gets to you. It gets in your head. And you're like, why am I listening to all these people? I need to do what Jeremy wants to do. And once I got to college, I was doing computer science and engineering has a way of molding you into like, yeah, I like sports, but that ain't all I got to do. Yes, I like entertainment. Yes, that's what a lot of Black people do, but that ain't what I got to do. Yeah, let me go in here and try to struggle in this class. You know, in my time of struggling, I was like, you know what, man, if I get through this, I prayed and I said, hey, if I get through this, God, I promise you, I don't know how it's look, but I'm going to start something that makes change in the world, true change. And yes, it's a podcast, but like, I feel like it's more than that. It's like church, man. So many people that I meet, the network that I build with so many people that come back when the episode come out months later, they're like, man, thank you for having me on, you know, and you build something with them to a point they're like, hey, you had so-and-so from North Carolina A&T, you know, man, my daughter going to A&T or my son at A&T, think they can get somebody in touch with? That's all we're here for. So I feel like this show is a way for me to be able to live through my purpose and also a way for me to step outside my box. But the first thing you have to do, I would tell you, is just get out of that mindset of worrying about, dang, people not gonna listen to me. You gotta listen to me. You know, and then my if I'm listening to you, my wife gonna listen to you, then it's a trickle down effect. You know, and I put out every episode. I don't care how big the person is. I don't care how we don't know that much about so I don't care about that because we people at the end of the day. So when I put it out, it can get one view. I'm still gonna be happy because I'm doing what I supposed to do. And it feels good every time. Every time I try to walk away from it, it pulls me back in. Another person say, oh, I want to come on the show. Oh, you know, and I feel like what got me into it was being in that space of like, dang, I ain't doing, all I'm doing is working. And I'm working. I like football players, man. Let me see. I don't know. I guess I go watch a game. But once you interview them, you like, dang, man, it's good. Or you interview another computer science or engineer or a doctor or a lawyer, it makes you like, dang, man, I feel like our people can be seen so many times and the different things they can do so that a small town kid like me can see, oh, dang, I could be all these different things. All I did was watch Jeremy's show. So that's the reason why I started the Hit Factor and interviewed so many people and still gonna keep interviewing people because that's what we're here for. You know, we're here to help one another. You know, and I know that's a lot, but that's just is what it is.
So good. That's so good.
Yeah.
Oh, see, you inspired me again.
Thank you. I'm glad that's what we're here for. We're here to inspire. We're here to help people. Every time I do this show, I have a smile on my face because I can be like feeling some type of way before I do a show. And once I get in front of the computer, it's not a put on. It's like, I'm happy because I'm meeting another person that looks like me, that has some of the same ideals as me, even if you don't have the same ideals as me. Before they leave, they're like, Jeremy, all right with me. Like, I want to keep seeing what he does. And let me go. And every person that came on the show, I'm just going to give you a claimer. Every person that came on the show has done well afterwards. Like, they doing good. Like, they grow more. And I just say, every time I see it, I tell my wife, I'm like, hey, baby, they grew because me. Yeah, I'm proud of them. Good. That's my only way. I'm like, they did it. And they ain't no, I don't want anything from it. I just like, yeah, they keep doing it. It's good. Because when they grow or when they win, I win. You know, so that's how I feel.
Awesome.
Definitely.
Can I ask you one more question?
Yeah, of course.
So, as a new alumna of the HBC community, I still want to be active in the community, even though like I'm not a student anymore. Do you have any ways that, well, if any other alumni are also listening on this podcast, like how, do you have any ideas of how we can get more involved with what's going on with our respective HBCUs or within the HBC community as a whole?
Ooh, that's a great question right there. I make sure that every year I do a scholarship. Since COVID is still around, I still know I need to go to the schools. So I'm gonna plan on going back. Go back to your campus as much as you can. Go back to those computer science classes like you were speaking about earlier. Go back and speak to those students. I got to do it twice during the pandemic, and I know I'm gonna do something this year. But the biggest thing is just go back, even if you just pop up on campus, even if you're not scheduled. A lot of people let time get away from them when it comes to them leaving school because they get so caught up in work. The biggest thing is to go back to A&T or any university you're around and just go back and give them your knowledge. Because a lot of kids is in your same predicament. But if you go back and tell them, hey, I work for Microsoft, woo, 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 you know, that's gonna, you ain't even gotta say Microsoft. The fact that you graduated, they're gonna be like, oh yeah, I need to talk to her. You know, that's one thing. Another thing is use your network. You know, if you need me, you know, I'm a phone call away, email away. I'll definitely come with you. I'll fly to you. I mean, that's how passionate I am about meeting people and learning new things and being able to help someone else. Because to be honest, I feel like a lot of students get off the path of graduating or get off the path of what they want to do because they don't see us coming back. So the biggest thing is coming back. That's the first thing. It ain't about giving a scholarship. It costs nothing to go back to your university. Like, you know, and not just for homecoming, you know what I'm saying? So like just going back and spending that time with them or even getting their emails. Like I have done it too, have to where I'll see them on LinkedIn, they'll come on. I'm like, oh, they just graduated. Oh man, they school. And I catch them off guard. I'm like, hey, I want to interview you. They were like, I haven't done nothing but an internship. I'm like, we building something so that when you get the job and you done with school, you're gonna come back on, we're gonna be good to go. You know, and I feel like we have to like pull them out of that shyness of scaredness of walking that line of, dang, can I reach out to them? They doing all this. So biggest thing is going back, you know, going back. And I know that sounds like the easiest thing in the world, but a lot of people I even graduated with, I even get on it like, dang, I ain't did enough, man. I need to get out of the Clark. I need to go down the street, you know. So the biggest thing is going back, you know, and pouring into those students. And also some of your professors, like reach out to them, ask them for some of the students' email address if you can, or just meet some students, get their information, and just stay in touch with them. So that's the biggest thing. Definitely. Definitely. I'm glad you asked that. Glad you asked that.
Thank you so much.
No problem.
So cool. This was just being on this is so cool. Thank you so much for inviting me.
No problem. Anytime. Anytime. And biggest thing, if you ever need anything, need any more advice, you know, just email me or just reach out and I'll get in touch with you. But I look forward to talking to you soon. And thank you so much for coming on to the show.
Thank you so much. It was a pleasure to be here.
No problem. Talk to you soon.
Have a good day. Bye.